Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to people those who have joined. I know we have people from different part of the world, and it's a different time zone for all of you. Very warm welcome, and thank you so much for taking out time for the session and attending the session. I know you are on mute. You have been muted by the admin, but we still request you to kindly write whatever the session in case of any questions, any emotions, any feelings on the chat. The chat is absolutely working fine. We checked that. We have multiple speakers today, very, very renowned two speakers, those who will come and speak about the healing modality which they have been using. Before that, let me just tell you why are we doing that and what is the whole purpose of this. We, as IACT India chapter, which is International Association of Counselor and Therapist India chapter, we as a team has thought that why not to call all the modalities and all the healers, those who are using different modes to heal and give a holistic healing to to their clients and learn from each other, so that we also have a holistic knowledge. And if in case we are meeting and connecting with the client wherein we need to work together to give a complete solution to the client, that option is also available, so that we can connect with best of the practitioners in the modalities which is available. And we also, with that intent, call the practitioners, those who can talk about the practices which they've been using to heal, because we firmly believe that healing yourself is connected with healing others. So it's all about giving the complete solution to the client, whoever we are dealing with. Now, we as a team request you all to keep your patience, listen to the speakers, those who are coming, and also keep on writing your questions in the chat. Lieutenant Sangeeta. Now, Lieutenant Sangeeta has worked in Indian Air Force for 25 years. She is a OD practitioner, organization development practitioner. She has been working in corporate with many clients on their leadership development. And when it comes to leadership development, it is all about the whole being, that leader who brings on the table. It's all in the office. It's not about just part of you. So she worked with the leaders very closely on their behavioral, on their leadership skills, on the shift which is required. And she also married this all with the organization requirement. So she's a very well-renowned professional in the industry. She's been called, signed by many top corporates, and she has delivered multiple brilliant results, I must say that, wherein the client come with a lot of testimonials that the impact of her coaching, training, mentoring has sort of helped them, not only in their professional life, but the overall being. Even the family is so thankful for the change which she has brought in that individual. With that note, I will take a pause and I would like to invite Lieutenant Sangeeta Bansal. Lieutenant Sangeeta, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Vinita Yadav, for the brilliant introduction that you have given of mine. But you forgot to prefix my designation properly. My name is Flight Lieutenant Sangeeta Pathak Bansal. I'm not from the Army, I'm from the Indian Air Force. So my designation is Flight Lieutenant. So it's a pleasure being with all of you over here, and I consider it a total honor and privilege to be amongst such brilliant people over here, such diverse global people with such multiple faceted personalities. The beginning of this workshop is about healing. So over here, I would like to cite a personal example of mine, how I healed myself. And like Dr. Vinita already has mentioned, it's about healing self first, and then, promulgating your thinking towards others. So 30 years back, no, not 30 years back, around 25 years back, I suffered from a major injury, back injury, disc prolapse, multiple disc prolapse, and I was bedridden for almost 8 months. Bedridden to that an extent that I could not even turn on the bed. Forget about moving around. And we had a daughter and then twin sons. So that was a very, very difficult time. So over there, at that point of time, I realized no matter what, the power of mind, that is what I'm going to be talking about. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. There is nothing strong than the power of our mind. The power of our mind can help us heal from anything, anywhere, anytime. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy that I'll be talking about, it's about connecting our emotions with our thoughts and then finally our behavior. So this, while it can go in a positive cycle also, it can go in a negative cycle too. So with that, I would like to share my presentation with you. And there we go. I hope my screen is now visible to everybody. Can anybody confirm whether my screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raised hand. Thank you. So with this, I would start my workshop. That is so this cognitive behavioral therapy, just giving you an insight. Who started it, when it started is important, because the relevance is that it's not like it happened yesterday or day before yesterday. This concept by Aaron T. Beck in the year 1960s. However, it was converted into a rational emotional behavioral therapy by Albert Ellis. Later on, Dr. Daniel Amen made it into ant therapy, which we'll be discussing later. Now, while cognitive behavioral therapy is very important, let's try and understand, if it is so important, why can't we execute it? Why do we need practitioners? Why do we need therapists? Why do we need, coaches to make us understand this? If it is so intrinsic, then why can't we figure it out ourselves? So I need to go to the chat box to see your answers. I would like to see some answers here. Why can't we figure it out for ourselves? You can put your answers over here. Let's make it a little interactive. If the power lies within us, so then why do we seek this help from outside? Okay, fair enough. People, I guess, are warming up. So let me tell you about the techniques first. So the first technique is restructuring. Restructuring is like rewiring your mind. Rewiring your mind in the sense that we always keep thinking about, what we can do, what we cannot do, what is possible, what is not possible. So over here, it is about understanding that the distorted thoughts that we have, the very fact that we always keep on thinking about negative things, how we can restructure with a positive. For example, over here, I have a very clear and a very distinct example. If you think, I always mess up, I am good for nothing, let's try to reframe this mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Let's change it around and talk about, okay, I may have done things wrong, but I've done a lot of things right too. So there is like rewiring your mind. So the first technique of CBT is cognitive restructuring, which is also called rewiring of our mind. Then let me just quickly take you to the second technique. Behavioral activation technique. And this is a very interesting technique because, a lot of times we end up like, if I ask most of you that what is the biggest thing which is bothering you, I guess most of us will answer stress, the anxiety, the problems that we face on a day-to-day basis. So it is very important for us to understand that we need to actively engage in activities which will actually break that pattern. We are not into all of you are on mute, otherwise I would have had the energizer over here. But having said that, the brain has a pattern of working. So silently, okay, so let's use the chat box for this activity. So just think in your mind that I'm asking you the spellings, and I want you to be engaged in this, because if you're engaged in this, you will gain more. If I just gave you a rhetorical, lecture, probably it'll not make so much of a difference. So I would request you to be a little more involved. So okay, thank you for the raised hand. All right. So the first energizer that I want you to do is quickly in your mind, think about the spelling of silk. Once, just in your mind. Quickly. Second time, the spelling of silk. Third time, the spelling of silk. And without wasting a moment, please answer in the chat box, what do cows like to drink? Immediately, your first reaction, what do cows like to drink? Put it in the chat box immediately. I don't want you to think, just put it in the chat box right away. Let me see how quick and sharp we are. Okay, okay, okay. Water, water, water. Okay. Okay, you had a lot of time to think, but typically the answer would have been milk, because the mind has got into a pattern of silk, silk, silk. Hence, the answer typically would have been milk, had it been like a more of a one-on-one session. So our brain tends to get into a pattern. So we have to break this pattern and we have to seek an activation kind of a thing wherein we are actually engaging with people. So when you're feeling low, try to have some kind of a thing wherein probably you can do some meditation, you could listen to music, you could call a friend, or you could just a positive element of it will elevate your mood. So, but for this, you have to consciously walk that extra mile. You cannot expect somebody to, make you feel good, make you feel happy, because typically all of us are looking for this, this thing to happen from an external source. But that just doesn't work. People around us also will try for a while, and after that, they will also give up. So this was the second technique wherein you have to consciously make an effort and engage yourself in activities which elevate your mood. Then the third is exposure therapy technique. Now, in this technique, we are all very anxious about things. Like, if I asked you, like, what would people fear most? Public speaking or death? You're all very intelligent people, and I know you'll get all the answers right. So what do you think? What do you fear more, death or public speaking? Going back again to the chat box to see the answers. Okay, so we death. Okay, death. Okay. But surprisingly, you are amongst the minority. 90% people fear public speaking because death is inevitable. We all have a finite amount of time on this earth. But public speaking is something which probably is just thrown at us, and probably we need to do that. So those people who enjoy public speaking and they are happy about public speaking, they're very far and few. And an international conclave which was conducted, over there it was found that 80% people experience extreme anxiety. Only 10% were like skeptical, and only 10% enjoy. So 90% people actually fear public speaking. So if you're also caught up in that trap, if you fear something, it could be, fear of heights, it could be fear of water, it could be fear of anything. So try and conquer the fear. Over here, I would like to take the example of Jessica Cox. Jessica Cox is an Australian. She was born without her hands. Now, her biggest fear was flying. And you know how she overcame this fear? She earned a PPL, that is a pupil pilot license for herself, by actually flying an aircraft solo. Besides this, she can play a piano. She can wear her contacts with her, the foot thumb. So she can do her, she's a taekwondo black belt, and she can do just almost anything, or maybe more than any of us can. And in her, when she tells her about her life story, she tells very clearly that, flying is not my passion. Flying is my biggest fear. But I have overcome that fear by actually becoming a pilot myself. So that is a very important thing for us to remember, that if a person without her hands can do such an amazing example, she can be such an amazing example, what stops us? What is the biggest fear that we have? It's all in the mind. Once we conquer this, sky is the limit. So this is the third therapy. Coming on to the next. Thought record technique. Now, this is also called journaling these days. And this is now coming up like in a big way in the corporate sector. Earlier, it was considered very rhetoric that people would always go back to their, mobiles for, storing data or capturing information. But journaling is coming up in a big way, and it is actually very, very important part. So what we talk about journaling over here is write down situations, thoughts, feelings, and alternate perspectives. Like, for example, sometimes things may not work out in our favor. So rather than just focusing on what went wrong, let's look at what went right also. So when you do that journaling, so somewhere you are enhancing your self-confidence. We want people to repose confidence in us. We want people to believe in us. We want people to praise us. We want people to recognize us. But how will any of that will happen when we don't have that self-confidence within ourselves? So it is imperative that this technique, if we do it, and this is not like far and few, this has to be done on a continuous basis, and it has to have a very important element. That is your consistency. One thing which will see us through in our lives forever is our consistency in whatever work that we do. Activity scheduling technique. Now, this is very important to understand that anything that we do, like for today, like we're having this wonderful session, it's not just happened like just randomly. There are a lot of people who have been working at the back end. And now this, what you see is the final manifestation of that hard work and that planning and that scheduling, which has been happened. And now this is the reality which is panning out in front of you. So try and make a mixture of things. So person who makes a plan of work, tasks, hobbies, leisure activities, and things like that, who has a happy combination, is able to strike a better work-life balance. Now, work-life balance has now again changed in the corporate world. It's called work-life integration. It's not a balance anymore. It is an integration between the two. So one has to find a lovely combination between the two wherein you can do the best of both, right? Okay, so moving on further. Mindfulness. We spend a lot of time doing a lot of things. But are we really into it completely? For example, right now, are you into this workshop as like 100%? Or probably you're thinking about, okay, when is this going to end? What is she going to do? And okay, when am I going to have my dinner? Or what are the other things going to happen? We have to absolutely focus in the present moment and without judgment. Now, the problem lies that before the thing completes, we're already having like our thoughts already are panning out. Okay, what if this doesn't happen? What if what she's saying doesn't work for us? So mindfulness is something, and gratitude along with it is extremely critical. Mindfulness along with gratitude will really make a very powerful manifestation, and that will really help us in our healing. If we have this self-doubt in anything before that thing is complete, okay, I'm sure all of us must have heard about placebo. Now, this placebo effect is like, okay, for those of us who are uninitiated, let me just quickly tell you about what is placebo. Placebo is like there are two set of people. One set of people, both the set of people are suffering from the same disease. One set of people are given the medicine to cure that disease, while the other set of people are just given plain sugar-coated pills and told that, okay, this is a brilliant drug which has just come into the market, and absolutely this is the most fantastic invention ever, and you're going to be cured completely after having this. So these people, both set of people have it. And this is an actual experiment. And actually, both the set of people were cured. First set because they were given the medicine to cure them. And the second set because they believed that the medicine was curing them. So it is very important to have mindfulness along with gratitude. The next technique is problem-solving technique. Now, this problem-solving technique is like we need to understand life is full of, when we look at our ECG graph, it is up and down, up and down, up and down. A horizontal line will be very detrimental to our health. So it is important that when we're talking about problem solving, let's be a little optimistic in our approach. Rather than always focusing on the negative aspects, let's be a little more pragmatic in our approach and in our day-to-day lives, right? The next skill that I'm talking about is goal setting. So the goals that you set for yourselves should be as smart as you are. So they should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be achievable, they should be relevant, realistic, and time-bound. So instead of having a goal like, okay, I want to be a GM, or I want to be a millionaire, or I want to get fit, let's have a realistic goal. Okay, so I want to be a millionaire. So where do I see myself in the next 3 months? If I want to get fit, so what do I do for that? So let me start by walking 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So let's have goals and not dreams. There's a vast difference between the two. We dream, those dreams don't come true because we don't take actions commensurate with those dreams. And then we get into this depression, anxiety, and things don't work for me, and all this negative paraphernalia, right? It's very important for us to understand that. Now, coming to a very interesting concept, because I'm left with very little time to. So this is this ant therapy. So ants, as you can see, or as you can recall, ants have a pattern. Ant, if I can recall, they're like small little ants, and they have a pattern. One follows the other and the other and the other and the other. So they follow a trail. So ant actually stands for automatic negative thoughts. They also have a pattern. This concept was given by Dr. Daniel Amen. It's a very profound element, and if you work on it, you will be a winner through and through. One thing I would really want to caution you is negative thoughts come automatically. They come naturally. Positive thoughts need to be cultivated. They have to be nurtured. We have to really consciously work towards it. So like the ants which come into our home, we have some Baygon spray or some spray by which we get rid of them. So similarly, the power of our mind is taken away by these ants. So we need to have consciously our positive mindset, an optimistic mindset, which will make sure that all these negative thoughts are eliminated and the power of our mind is restored and nothing is impossible for us. So we do have different type of ants over here. I can't do this. That's so stupid. I'm too afraid. This always happens to me. So sometimes we are labeling, sometimes we are acting the victim, sometimes we are generalizing. So let's be very, very conscious. And believe you me, the most poisonous ant, if I ask you, the answer would be red ants. So the red ants are blame ants. Never get into blame, denial. Always blaming others for our whatever shortcomings. That's not going to help. There's always something we can do to fix the situation. Let's focus our energy on that rather than always trying to play the victim. How do we kill the ants? So these are some sprays. What positive things or solutions? What would happen if I ask someone for a reality check? What is the chance this thought will actually come true? What would a loved one tell me if they knew I thought this? What could be happening in this situation? What are the facts that I'm not considering? What are the kind or flexible words that I'm not using? So these are some sprays which will help you in killing these automatic negative thoughts and make our life more peaceful. Another very important concept, which is very, very relevant, is battery box. see, the principle of reciprocity says that we all want others to be nice to us. We want others to be good to us. We want other people to be, be nice and charming to us. But we forget that actually the starting point of this Batari box is self. Now, who originated it? There is no clarity in history about this. But this concept of Batari box is named after a Persian village in Iran. Now, this Batari box is about my attitude. My attitude when I say every single person individually themselves. So I am responsible for my attitude. So if I came over here in this workshop assuming that people are not going to be interested, they are not going to be engaged, they don't want to know anything, they're just checking a box and they're just going to be here. So that attitude would have reflected in my behavior towards you, right? But you people are very interested. You've taken out time. You're here. You're really interested. You've registered yourself. You've marked your calendars. You've devoted this time. But you see this person who's extremely rude, not interested, not adding value to your lives. So your attitude would be positively affected or negatively affected. I'm sure it will be negatively affected. You will be like, why did we invest our time over here? And your behavior would be logging off already, right? So this Batari box can go in a positive cycle also, or it could be in a negative cycle also. So it's very important. If I want to believe in the principle of reciprocity, if I want people to be nice to me, so let me be the starting point myself. And it all starts again from the power of our mind. Mindfulness, being consciously positive, being consciously aware, and consciously working towards it. So let's focus on the real dopamine. Let's not look at the fake one. And with this, I would like to show you the final video. Listen to this video. It's very important. It will leave a very powerful message with you. So here we go.
I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie.
I'm sorry.
So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together, but this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And this will all be true, unless we reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now, I will be celebrating my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know they are not the most important thing in life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children money will make me happy is a lie. Happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can change the world, and I refuse to believe I am part of a lost generation.
Thank you so much for listening to me and connecting. And this was really a wonderful opportunity to connect with all of you. Just quickly summarizing before I hand you over to Dr. Manisha Bhatia. The primary focus of CBT is the power of our subconscious mind. And when we make the subconscious mind into a conscious effort, anything and everything is possible. The important aspect is to focus absolutely first on our thoughts, because our thoughts will affect our emotions and our emotions will affect our actions. So it's very, very important that we believe in ourselves first before others will believe in us, right? Thank you so much. And over to you, Dr. Vinita.
Thank you. And maybe this time it's Flight Lieutenant Sangeeta Bansal. That's the, am I doing it right now? Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Flight Lieutenant Sangeeta. This was quite insightful. Rather, a few concepts like instead of talking about work-life balance, how we talk about work-life integration, because sometimes after COVID, the boundaries have blurred. It's not office and home. It's anywhere. It's basically more on project base. You sit anywhere, but you deliver. So there are a lot of areas wherein now corporates are talking about outcome versus outputs. So they're more talking about outcomes than maybe talking about the outputs and all. So what exactly we're achieving with whatever work you are doing, rather than you're just talking about the initial achievement. So I can understand that. Another was, this was beautiful when you spoke about ants, and I saw that red ant, which was with anger and all. We can relate with that analogy. It was very beautiful that yes, there are different emotions in us, and if you understand that these are all different ants in us, and if we learn how to maybe change our thoughts in that moment, so that it can actually changes our action also, not only feeling, because that feeling leads to the action. So thank you so much for bringing this insight. Really love few concepts. I hope the audience also enjoyed. I hope all the audience is aware now that you have to write your questions in the chat box.
We have a couple of questions for Flight Lieutenant Sangeeta Bansal. One is, can you give a specific case study or an example of how CBT has helped a person?
A specific example that you wanted is live example. I shared you my live example, right? I have multiple examples who I can quote, who I've trained and I've coached. But the first person who I wanted to share this entire journey was myself, and how I healed myself. It is about, understanding this, the power of subconscious mind is first yourself and then others. So when we are always looking at validation, somewhere we are always already judging. So somewhere we need to repose that trust. And when I say that I have healed myself from, I was having disc prolapse, L4, L5, multiple disc prolapse, and there was no way I could even get up from the bed. This is a real-time example which I quote. But if you want examples of my the people I coach, that is confidential information. I will not be able to share that.
We have one more question for you. From Peter Blum.
Marsha Linehan, who founded DBT, and Beck, who you attributed for CBT. These are two powerful fields that you referred to.
Okay, got it. So you're getting confused with CBT and ant therapy, right?
Yes. Did either of them reference or use hypnosis in their work?
Probably it will be difficult to deep dive into understanding whether they used hypnosis or not, but definitely they would have used the power of subconscious mind. Because whenever we talk about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, whether we talk about DISC, when we talk about hypnosis, everything is actually focusing on the power of mind. Right. So when we're talking about, our conscious mind, subconscious mind, all of them finally, all of it will figure out in the power of our subconscious mind. So now I understand where your question is coming from. So where I introduced you to NBT, I also talked about, I got your question now. I'll be very specific in my answer. So you talked about CBT, that is cognitive behavioral theory. And then I talked about REBT, that is rational emotive behavioral theory. And then I talked about ant therapy. So that is all about power of your conscious mind. Now, hypnosis, you can have another person doing it for you. But personally, I feel the power lies with it. Each one has their own preferences. Each one has their own styles. Everyone has their own way of thinking. So I may like a certain style. Probably you may not. So for me, I believe in the power of subconscious mind. I believe more in the intrapersonal before going to interpersonal. Before I want to seek out help from others, I would rather try to figure out the strength that I have within. Does that answer your question?
Peter, I hope this answers the question.
So there are certain things which are coming up in the CBT is a
Yes,
cognitive
thank you.
approach. Yes, it is a cognitive approach. CBT is a cognitive approach. REBT is a cognitive approach. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is also a cognitive approach. It's all about power of the minds, power of the mind, power of the subconscious mind. When you were talking about being successful in life, we all look at sources who can help us. So while Monisha and me are talking about two different styles, both are workable, depends upon what is your preference. So while I believe in the power of self, subconscious mind, how you can better yourself, you can be the best version of yourself. And I would like to quote a very lovely quote over here. A flower just blooms. It's not in competition with anyone else. It just blooms. It just blooms for its own glory. So that's where I come from.
So I think we have already overshot the time. If you want to get in touch with the speakers or have further questions, Bhavya will shortly put on the slides, which will have the contact details of IACT. If you want to get associated with us, you can write to us, or we can put you in touch with the speakers. Thank you. Thank you for the session. Back to you, Vinita.
Yeah, thank you.
Can
Can you put the slide wherein we have the contact details of the speaker? You can click a picture quickly from your phone or screen, and then maybe you can reach out to them. We will also put their details on IACT website. Bhavya has a slide which talks about our upcoming speaker. We are meeting again. We do this meeting every month. I know this time we overshot the time almost by half an hour, but that is not the case every time. We will try and manage time next time for sure. But we also request you to kindly go out and speak in your circle, that there is a platform wherein we talk, and there's no personal agenda, there's no hidden agenda. It's all about knowing what are different modalities which is available, how we can give end-to-end solution, the complete holistic solution to the client, and if required, how we work together to give a solution to a client. This is the whole objective and purpose behind it. And with this purpose and noble cause, we have sort of created this platform, requesting you all to go out, shout, raise your voice, tell people this is what is happening, ask them to join us. Or if they are expert in any modality or anything, please tell them to reach out to us. Finger on our website, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, LinkedIn, wherever you can. Bhavya, if you're there, you can maybe put the slide. I don't know where is Bhavya. Bhavya. No worries, we will, yeah, it's there. It's there. So that's the date. Please save the date. I request you all to please join again us on 26. We will have Peter Bum. Peter Bum, if you want to know more about him, I would request you to Google about him. And we have Bhavya as well, Bhavya Agarwal as our next speakers. So please do join us on 26th April. Go reach out to your friends, colleagues. Let them also join. Let them also learn. Thank you so much for today, and we'll get back to you with any more questions you had with the answers and all. But once again, thank you so much. Apologies for delaying it. We didn't delay it. We started on time, but it was so interesting. So we could not finish on time. We will try and keep that in mind next time. Thank you so much once again, and namaskar.
Pleasure being with all of you. Namaskar.